All right, back to Freedom Broners, podcast number 3. Originally, we got some tequila here. Originally, we were going to have some guests talk about immigration, Mexicans, so we had some tequila. Weather was bad. People had illnesses. So we will have them on hopefully next...
Taylor's got the squirts.
Hopefully the next podcast. But since they're not here, we're going to drink the tequila anyway. And we're going to drink their tequila for them. So we'll start this party off strong.
What do they say? Liquor before beer. No, wait.
Beer before liquor, never been sicker.
Liquor before beer, you're a queer. That's a
Drink it like a man.
Either way, you got issues.
Or you just mix them both and not be a pussy about it.
Mix them together.
All right, let's start this thing. I gotta take a second. See what you make us do, Taylor? This is your fault. All right. So, I look like a pussy right now. That wasn't very good.
That's gross.
We need some limes. But instead of talking about immigration today, since it's just me and Curtis, we're gonna talk about abortion mostly.
Yeah.
This new. We'll try and keep it a little shorter too. I think. We'll see. Maybe we'll cut out some more stuff. Try and keep them. Keep these podcasts a little shorter because an hour.
Nobody wants to watch them when they're an hour long.
So we'll try and do that. Yeah. So we'll start off. I guess. I don't think it's any secret that we're both anti-abortion.
Yeah.
And at some point in time, we'll have this conversation again. We will have guests on who are pro-abortion and just discuss it, you know. Talk about it. No reason, no debate. We're not arguing. We're not going to argue with anyone. Or
we just want to talk about it.
We just want to have discussions because I think once you start talking to people, you realize, you know, behind these partisanship, these lines and stuff that you draw, you just label someone with opposing viewpoints, instead of just assuming their opinion or their stance on a topic based on their partisanship.
You just put them in a group together.
Yeah, instead of just actually getting to talk to the person and learn their opinions and the reason why they have those opinions and views. So that's kind of our goal, like with this whole thing. You know, obviously we're gonna give our opinions, and obviously when it's just us, you're gonna get just our opinions. But
since our
we want to have
don't show up
other people on here to talk about their opinions and why they feel that way, and you know, not argue and fight and sit behind a computer and go F you, screw you, cuss at people just because they have different opinions.
You're a poser.
But try and figure out why they have those opinions, you know? So,
yeah, and come to an understanding about our own opinions as well, just learning about ourselves through other people's viewpoints.
Because I think, let me look up.
And this is a touchy subject, obviously. That's people become incensed immediately when you bring up the issue of abortion. It's kind of insane. Like, we can't even talk about it. Like a human life, or not a human life, and we can't talk whether or not that's a, murder or not.
We're also trying something new.
Sorry to use biased words.
We got our computers up here so we can pull up some information while we're going along. And
so that we look less stupid.
Yeah, we'll put... instead of just making guesses and guesstimates and stuff, we can actually look it up. And we'll put the information either on the screen or in the description, links to whatever we're talking about. Or the pictures or whatever we're talking about. We'll have it pop up on the screen so you know what we're talking about. I can't find it. I was trying to find a Bible verse that talks about, testing your faith, and that's kind of how we're looking at politics, testing your faith, testing your beliefs, pitting them against others and, learning. Like, there's nothing to be gained from just surrounding yourself in a bubble of consenting opinion. You're not gonna learn. You're not going to progress at all in that way. You're just gonna surrounding yourself with people that agree with you. What do you accomplish except jerking each other off, agreeing with each other? Just, it makes no sense.
A circular jerk of.
And it happens. It happens on both sides. It happens. Everyone does it.
Yeah.
Everyone loves to surround themselves with people that agree with them.
Well, that's because we like to have our opinions validated by other people. We love to thrive on validation.
It's so much easier to talk to somebody like this right now. When we're talking to each other, talking to you, we don't have any dissenting opinion. What we say, and then we agree with each other. It kind of ramps you up. But then when you have someone who steps in, it's like, well, what about this? Helps you learn, helps you find out where your beliefs lie, in what facts and evidence your beliefs lie, and where you back them up, as opposed to just spouting off the same thing you hear every day. It's disgusting. But I can't find it. If you guys know it, post it. But it's in there. I'm doing exactly what I said we weren't going to do.
It's in there.
But anyway, the topic of abortion. The topic of abortion is where we're going with this one.
Especially with the recent New York legislation that passed.
And the Virginia
that attempted to get passed.
That they were essentially defending post-birth abortions. I
think that may be an exaggeration, but the way that the
it was Northam, and
the way that he said it,
and that he hasn't, as far as I know, hasn't come out since that's happened and clarified. Because what's her name? What's her face? There's so many people talking about so many things. I can't remember. I don't know if it was Kamala Harris or someone who had originally. No, it was the Asian chick. She was Virginian as well. Let me Google it. Since
the Asian chick. Oh my gosh. But no.
But she was talking about it, where this all came from. The bill, who was pushing the bill originally, and she came back and said, "No, we're not talking about post-birth abortions. That's infanticide." I personally would argue it's all infanticide after conception.
Agree.
But
pretty hard line when it comes to this.
Kathy Tran is her name.
Kathy Tran.
But she came back and said, that's not what we're talking about in the bill. As far as I know, Northam has not. I know he's been trying to deal with the whole blackface thing, but which I think is stupid. I think it's a distraction from the fact that he wants to allow abortions
up
till birth.
And after, if what he said is true.
Yeah, because he said, keep
the child comfortable, on the table while we have a discussion with the parent. You're like, that's a little bit creepy.
Yep. And the argument that it's a part of the woman's body doesn't apply at that point because it's no longer in the woman's body. I don't really know. For me personally, I find abortion abhorrent. I don't know at any stage. I'm very, very abstinent based sexual, what do you want to call it? I think
lifestyle.
Yeah, if you don't want to have children, you should not have sex. I realize that for the majority of people out there, that's not the case.
Yeah.
And I will cede that there are birth control options out there that you can take prior to conceiving a child. And even if you're using that birth control and it doesn't work, once that child is conceived, that is a life separate from your own that you cannot end.
I mean, its genetic code is completely differentiated from the mother's, from the father's. It is a separate being. Whether you agree with that or not, I would say that even cutting down destroying the potential for life once it's conceived is a bit disturbing. Honestly, it's like an age-based genocide,
and that's what I want to pull up. Let's talk about Down syndrome.
My goodness.
I don't even know. I can't even fathom how you can justify aborting a baby once you find out it has Down syndrome.
Or any other birth defect. This is where we'll probably disagree with tons of people.
Yeah.
Is that I think that someone should be allowed to live their life regardless of how long it's going to be, regardless of the quality of their life, because any life is better than no life.
Yeah, all life is valuable, and
there's tons of people with birth defects who are an inspiration for people who go on to do wonderful things. And it seems to be like a disservice not only to the child who is being aborted, but to the just mankind, kind of, to just eliminate a life that could contribute to our advancement in some way.
So, right here. This is from an article from 2017, actually. A CBS News article. With the talking about prenatal screenings that detect Down syndrome, which as far as I know, are not 100% accurate.
No. We can throw some anecdotal stuff in here.
Someone that we know
was, while in the womb, he was diagnosed with Down syndrome. Once he was born, they realized he didn't actually have Down syndrome. They were going to abort a child that didn't have Down syndrome.
And another more anecdotal evidence, what seems to be the case when those prenatal screenings come through and positive for Down syndrome, most of the time the doctors recommend an abortion. So
yes.
Right here from the CBS News article, in Iceland, close to 100% of women who received a positive test for Down syndrome terminated their pregnancy. So the Down syndrome rates are drastically decreasing in a lot of these countries, a lot of developed countries. Most of them, from what I've seen, the Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Sweden, Iceland, have are aborting children that test positive with Down syndrome. I even saw one study about the UK. I think it was close to 70% of children with Down syndrome were aborted. And I mean, that's awful. In my opinion, even if you think the child, even if you're like people that are against abortion, but it's eugenics. I mean, you want to talk about fascism in the U.S., you want to talk about Nazis and Hitler and eugenics. That is eugenics right there. That is taking someone who you
meaning the far left.
Let's
be clear on this.
Who you feel is inferior and terminating their life because of that. It's awful. I mean, why shouldn't someone with Down syndrome, why shouldn't someone with spina bifida, I saw an article about a lady whose daughter had spinal bifida, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, it's
where the spine,
I think it's pronounced spina bifida,
is exposed, and the chances of survival are pretty low. And if they do survive, most likely are going to be paralyzed from the neck down. Why shouldn't that person get to live? What makes their life less? I know people like to make the argument, it's saving them from the suffering from dealing with that. But my life sucks at points. Like, I suffer through life.
Where is the line? Because I mean, I suffer from many allergies to things. I've got a herniated disc that was probably caused by genetic abnormalities. I suffered because of it. Right now, it's pretty good, but I suffered because of it. And at what point does if the doctors saw that genetic potential in me, would they have?
Well, that's always the thing, and you always get decried as a fringe conspiracy theorist when you suggest, where does it go from here?
Yeah, well, it's considered a logical fallacy. A slippery slope.
Yeah, but when you look at it actually happening, I mean, how we're getting to where there are people trying to advocate for pedophilia, and that was the argument with the whole homosexual movement. Where does it go from there? Well, it goes to the transgender movement, and now where does it go from there? Now it's going to this pedophilia movement.
Bestiality.
Next. I mean, where does it go from there? And you get decried as, a fringe, conspiracy theorist for suggesting that. But look at what's happening. I mean, you can see it happening. It's not a theory anymore.
Yeah. It's sometimes you're falsely accused for these slippery slope fallacies when you're just having decent foresight. When you can look and see, okay, this is where it could go next. Yeah. This is what could happen next. But moving back to the whole abortion thing, and we go into this, if a woman is raped and becomes pregnant from it, or if it's a product of incest, my thoughts on this are, why should someone who is the product of a rape or the product of incest not be allowed to live? Why are they condemned to death?
A way I've heard it, which I like, is why... How can you fix one crime by committing another? Yeah, rape is horrible. It sucks that woman who was raped, which is a very small percentage of the people who get abortions, are victims of rape. But why should that, God,
that's disgusting.
That child
I'm not going to be able to drink tequila after this ever again.
Who was conceived from that rape. It sucks that that woman will have to go through that, has to go through that, and has to deal with the 9 months of pregnancy. But there are alternatives to abortion.
Well, regardless of the alternatives to abortion, every crime has a victim, and every victim suffers in some way.
Yep.
That is the nature of criminal activity. And yes, like he said, it sucks that you have to be pregnant for 9 months with this child that you never wanted. But just because that child came from criminal activity, does that deny them the right to live?
Yeah. Murder is not the solution to rape. It's not the answer to rape.
Why should a child be punished for the sins of his father?
Yeah.
That's terrible. I mean, it does.
I'm starting to feel that tequila already.
Sin does transfer between parent
Yeah.
and child, but you should not be.
It's
punished.
Why should it be inflicted by us? You know, why
Why are we
the ones inflicting the punishment? Why do we get to decide that the child
But I mean,
is to die?
what the whole abortion issue came from this Supreme Court ruling, Roe v. Wade. And I'm not a legal expert, but I don't understand this at all. I don't get it. I don't get how they came to this conclusion that it's a privacy issue under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. It makes no sense to me because, like, the 14th Amendment says, and I'll read it in its entirety. Where does that say anything about abortion being protected by privacy? I don't understand it. Like I said,
Well, they quote the Due Process Clause. Where's the due process for the child?
exactly. Where's the... It says that no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Well, we see no due process of law. It's just the parent, most likely.
In most cases, only the mother.
Only the mother.
Because in a lot of cases, the father does not have to consent. Because it's a woman's issue.
And this is what happens. There's no due process of law. There's just death of a child, of an innocent child who hasn't even had the chance to live, to exist, like the rest of us.
Let's take a brief intermission because I gotta pee.
We've returned.
Yes.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. 14th Amendment due process.
And that mothers
He had a half an hour.
seem to have more say over their children than the fathers do.
Yeah.
I maybe someone can explain it to me. I don't understand the whole "it's my body, it's my choice" argument.
It doesn't. Yeah, I mean the whole argument comes down to when does it become a life, and is that life separate from the mother? That's what the whole argument comes down to. This whole thing is those 2 points, and if you can't agree on those, because for me, when does it become a life? At conception. Is it part of the mother? No, it is its own individual life. Now, the only way to vouch for abortion and it not be murder is that to argue that it's not a life up until a certain point, or it is part of the mother up until a certain point, so it's her decision whether or not she terminates that life or not, which I think is just stupid. So we'll pull up like the pictures of fetal development week by week. Once you hit 6 weeks, I think 6 weeks is when you can usually detect a fetal heartbeat. So it is a separate entity with a beating heart, which begins to take on the form of what looks like a human, at least what looks like a separate being aside from the mother. And then a few short weeks later, I mean, already at 8-9 weeks, it looks like a child. Like it's got fingers, like most of its head is formed.
Face.
10 weeks, yeah, it's got a face and everything. Like 10 weeks, it looks like a child. I don't know how anybody could advocate for the killing of a child. Let's look at Dr. Levatino, who was a abortion doctor. We'll link the video because I think everyone should look at the video of him describing. I think it's an abortion at 21 weeks or something that he describes. And let's just listen to it here so we have context. We'll cut this. It's like 2 minutes. Or we'll just put it on the thing as we listen to it.
You can watch our faces.
You need to turn on your microphone. Apologize. There you go. I got my time back. Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to get right to it. Second trimester D&E abortions performed between roughly 14 and 24 weeks of gestation. Your patient today is 17 years old. She's 22 weeks pregnant. Her baby is the length of your hand plus a couple of inches. And she's been feeling her baby kick for the last several weeks. But she's asleep on an operating room table. You walk into that operating room scrubbed and gowned, and after removing laminaria, you introduce a suction catheter into the uterus. This is a 14 French suction catheter. If she were 12 weeks pregnant or less, basically the width of your hand or smaller, you could basically do the entire procedure with this. But babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. After suctioning the amniotic fluid out from around the baby, you introduce an instrument called the Sofer clamp. It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and a ½ inch wide. There are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. A D&E procedure is a blind abortion, so picture yourself introducing this and grabbing anything you can blindly and pull, and I do mean hard, and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you. Reach in again, pull out an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And use this instrument again and again to tear out the spine, the intestines, the heart, and lungs. Having the baby that size is about the size of a large plum. Can't see it, but you pretty good idea you've got it if you've got your instrument around something and your fingers are spread about as far as they go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the instrument and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you can pull out the skull pieces. And you have a day like I had a lot of times. Sometimes a little face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations, you just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion.
Second trimester, not third, which is what they're pushing for.
Like, there is
We'll begin with you. Welcome.
a huge argument against the death penalty for violent criminals, which I'm on the fence about because, like, there are certain people that need to be removed from society. Other people were committing a crime based on passion, and sometimes that doesn't require their death. They can be rehabilitated. But you're murdering a child who's never done anything. You're pulling pieces of the child out of the mother.
Look, the statement he said, when you crush down on the instrument and you see white fluid come out of the cervix, that's the baby's brain. The baby already has a formed brain. I think he said 21 weeks or something like that. That's into the second trimester, not even the third trimester. And you can see a face, you can see their brains squish out as you just destroy this child. It blows me away that anybody could support this for the sake of women's rights. I don't know. It angers me. Like,
It's disgusting.
yeah.
It's despicable.
I don't even know what to say. Like, it's just.
I can almost understand someone coming from it has Down syndrome, where it has some birth defect, and its quality of the child's quality of life is going to be nothing. But I can't understand terminating a pregnancy because it's not convenient for you.
And that's the thing. I think too many people just separate. Like, they just, I don't know. Like, it literally is a convenience thing. I've heard of too many people that just, they didn't want to be pregnant. They didn't want to have a kid, so they had an abortion. Why is that the solution? Why is that the preferred solution to an unwanted pregnancy, is to abort the child, to kill the child? I don't know. And then when you're using taxpayer dollars, so Planned Parenthood. I'm not even going to get into on this one because we said we were going to cut them shorter. We're already at like 37 minutes or whatever. So we'll probably end here. And we'll get into that another time. Planned Parenthood and, the whole fallacy that they're a sexual health organization, that they do anything really more than just abortions, because honestly they don't.
They lie about it. But
yeah, so we'll get into that another time. I think we'll end right here for this one, so we don't drag it on forever, because we could talk about this forever, but
yeah,
the tequila's hitting me pretty hard, so we'll stop here. We'll leave links to I probably should have said this at the beginning, but links to our Twitters in the description. We all have a Twitter. Me, Curtis, Taylor. I got a Twitter. We have a Subscribe Star. We're going to start we'll put like unedited.
is our Subscribe Star up?
Small unedited. No, it's still under review. It's still under review. So it's going to be a while probably before it's able. And that's, honestly, that's just like, if you want. I think the only incentive we have right now is $1, and you get like the unedited versions, which we haven't uploaded anything as of yet to it. We'll probably do that after this. But we'll just put unedited stuff on there. Unedited. We might blur some faces. And cut out a few things where equipment malfunction or something, because we obviously don't have the best setup. But for the most part, unedited stuff, some kind of like behind the scenes stuff, just like our day-to-day stuff we'll put on there that we decided to record, we'll throw it on there. So if you feel the urge to support us in any way, I mean, watching our video is the first step. Sharing it, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe, like they always say.
Bah! Don't
That'd be
do
great.
any of that.
Because right now we don't have really any following at all, and it'd be nice to get somewhat of a platform just so we can.
Well, yeah, and if you have,
just have
if you
some
want
outreach
to
to people.
be on the show,
Yeah,
feel
we'll
free.
do Skype. We'll do
Figure it out.
anything. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, we don't have the know-how, obviously, in the editing and like camera work section. We have limited resources as of yet, but we'll work on it, and we're always trying to improve our situation. So before we ramble on any further, I guess we'll end it right there.
So long.
Just yeah.
Cheers.
Hey, did you enjoy that debacle? If so, consider supporting us on Subscribestar.
We're not going to lie to you. The money will probably go towards more beer.
But that is an essential for the creative process.